Hello there, Brick Fanatics. I would like to talk to you today about one of the most wholesome LEGO building experiences I have had this year. Spoiler alert, although it's not really a spoiler if you've seen the thumbnail for the video, it's with the LEGO Friends theme, in particular the LEGO Friends sets that are releasing in January of 2026. These sets were provided by the LEGO Group for review. They don't always send us the LEGO Friends sets, but they do every now and then, and this time they said, here, you can have all 17 of these LEGO sets plus 2 poly bags for review. And I looked at them and I thought, do I need 17 LEGO Friends sets? That's a lot of LEGO Friends building. Oh, go on then, yeah, let's do it. And I'm really glad I did, because genuinely this was such a wonderful experience putting these sets together with my family. This is a bit of a different review because, for one thing, I don't even have footage of the sets in pristine condition, because when a box of 17 LEGO Friends sets turns up, you can't help but just start distributing to smaller family members and saying, all right, here, you build this one, you build this one. And so these were played with very heavily while they were being built, when normally when I'm building a LEGO set for review, I tell all of the small people in the house, you are not allowed to touch this until I have finished photographing and filming it. This is going to be a little bit of a different video because I'm going to be talking a lot about my family and my kids, which I don't normally do on this channel, but they are such an integral part of this experience and of me being able to fully review these LEGO Friends sets, because a lot of them are designed for younger fans, that I can't not talk about them. So what happened was the box turned up, we opened it up, and we announced we're going to have a LEGO party. And so my kids got in and started pulling out sets and deciding which ones that they wanted to build first, and we all just started building and building and building and building. I have 2 kids who are often helping out behind the scenes on these videos, giving me their personal opinion on LEGO sets. I have a daughter who is just on the cusp of growing out of LEGO Friends. She did ask for a Friends set for Christmas, but also more recently she's been more interested in botanical sets and in building up her wonderful garden of various different LEGO flowery builds. So when these LEGO Friends sets turned up, she was initially, I won't say hesitant, but she was just not hugely fussed until she really got in there and started pulling sets out. And it was wonderful to see her kind of reconnecting with LEGO Friends for the first time in a little while, where when she was younger, this was one of the primary ways that I experienced LEGO, was building LEGO Friends sets with her and playing with all of the little characters and getting to know Stephanie and Olivia and Andrea and all of the other original core LEGO Friends crew. And now she was almost discovering the new generation of characters in the same way. And I was aware of which of these LEGO sets was going to grab her attention first. I knew it was going to be this one. It was, well, first off, she said, can I build the big giant garden restaurant? And I thought to myself, I'll build that one because it's a big one and I know you're going to run out of steam halfway through that. Why don't you pick a smaller one to build? The one that caught her eye was the supermarket one, where instead of being the outside of the building, it's the inside of the building. And she's always loved setting up a little scene like that and putting a bunch of different bits of food or different kind of decorational pieces onto a build. And so that felt like the right kind of thing for her. And I was right. She absolutely loved it. She adored it. She had so much fun. She also loved every single cat that came out of any of these boxes. She was like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, I love this one. Oh, look, he's got little googly eyes, this kind of thing. She had the cat birthday party one for her birthday earlier in the year, and she thought that that was brilliant, but this was even more cats because we had all of these different LEGO sets. So it was wonderful to see her reconnect with the LEGO Friends theme, and it was brilliant to be able to revisit these sets and do the same kind of things that we used to do when she was a lot smaller. The more interesting thing, though, and perhaps the thing that I feel was even better for our family as a whole, was seeing how my son interacted with these LEGO sets, because he's a little bit younger, and his interest in LEGO mostly revolves around sets with some kind of gun or sword in them. His big theme for a long time has always been LEGO Star Wars. He's super into the Clone Wars and building his own little clone army. He has seen too many videos on YouTube from the kinds of LEGO YouTuber who will just buy 100 battle packs and set up their giant army, and he wants to do that kind of thing a lot of the time. He also has recently been discovering ninjas for the first time, and so Ninjago has become very popular, and he's been having a great time collecting all of the ninjas and getting all of the swords and the weapons and crashing them together and fighting with the various different minifigures. He's also recently discovered the Ninja Turtles, and that's gonna be more of a problem because it's been a while since they've made Ninja Turtle Lego, so those sets are not cheap, but we'll leave that to one side for the moment. Now, of course, it's wonderful to see my son playing with Lego in any capacity, but you do get a real sense of the weariness of conflict and war in particular when you're constantly playing the Clone Wars. If you've seen a lot of the Clone Wars cartoon, you might know what I'm getting at here, but it is amplified by the number of Lego YouTubers who are making stop-motion videos of Clone Wars battles, where it is the same kind of thing over and over again with a group of little clone troopers who are fighting against the battle droids, or maybe they're doing an Order 66, something like that. It is brilliant to see the ingenuity and the creativity that a lot of these stop-motion animators have when they're working with Lego as this medium. I think I want to shout out in particular CC Trooper 27, who does some absolutely brilliant work, and the sheer number of these videos that he has made is really, really impressive. But what gets to you after a while when you're playing the Clone Wars over and over and over again is a real sense of the futility of war. You really feel the distilled metaphor here that I feel like George Lucas was going for with the prequel trilogy, with this idea of two entirely manufactured armies that exist purely just to smash into each other over and over again, endlessly on different planets, in different scenarios, but it is the same thing where neither of them really have a huge stake in the galactic conflict. They've just been told, this is what you have to do, this is what you exist to do. And it is a bit bleak, and the more you think about it, the more depressing it becomes, especially because I think the whole point of this is how a lot of actual military leaders think of their troops, as just disposable manufactured cannon fodder. It's a bit dark, and for a relatively young child to be playing this game over and over and over, of course it's sanitized and it's bloodless and it's just kind of fun for him, but I don't love that that's the first game that he always plays with Lego, so to a certain degree Ninjago is a bit of a relief from the endless existential dread that is long-term Star Wars warfare, where you're doing the same thing over and over again, because at least the ninjas are training in a martial art and they're meeting dragons and they're doing all kinds of other stuff, and they're not just the same two armies bashing up against each other time and time and time again, and they're not just endlessly shooting at each other. Now, that being my son's favourite way to play with Lego, I wasn't surprised when initially he looked at the Lego Friends sets and thought, no, they're not really for me, there's no guns in here. But when we started building them, he had a complete transformation. Here's the thing about Lego Friends, right? Even over Lego City is built a lot around police and about capturing criminals, and there's some kind of conflict there. There is no conflict whatsoever in Lego Friends. It is just lovely people having a good time, running an animal sanctuary, or going to the shops, or going to a restaurant, or just hanging out and being friends. It is so low stakes, chill, relaxing compared to a lot of the other Lego themes that my son has been really invested in. And so when he started playing with these characters, I kind of expected that what was going to happen was he would get some of his blasters from his Lego Star Wars sets and he'd clip them into the hands and then they'd go around shooting each other. But no, he didn't. He got really invested in the bunny hotel of all Lego sets and really wanted to play with all of the bunnies and set up the little bunny hotel and have all of his characters wandering around. And the funny thing is, I picked that one to build first because I figured that that was one that he was going to be less interested in, and so we could build it and then I could take photos of it, and then I could quietly shuffle it off and give it to a family friend so that it could end up with somebody who would actually appreciate it. But no, that was the one that he fell in love with. And after that we built the dog bakery, and again he absolutely adored it, and he loved being able to play the little dogs working in the shop or getting treats from the shop. I could never figure out which way around he was doing it, but it was so wholesome because he was just having cute little fun here, and there were absolutely no bad things happening whatsoever. There was no fighting, there was no kind of animosity. It was just sweet little characters living sweet little lives. That, I think, is the real strength of the Friends theme, which is often overlooked, is the fact that it is more down to earth and more grounded in reality than a lot of other themes. So when kids play with this, they're playing things that are more real to their actual lives rather than being in some way fantastical, and there's a lot of play potential in there that you don't see from other things within the Lego catalogue. Now, eventually the guns did make their way into my son playing with these sets, but what took me by surprise was that he announced these two are having a paintball fight, because for whatever reason, something about the mini doll and something about these sets and the design of these sets, and as I say, that grounded reality meant that as he got out the guns, he decided that it was going to be a grounded, realistic experience and actually, you know, a game rather than actual violent warfare. And that's such an interesting thing for me. I feel like I know that not everybody loves the mini doll, and there are definitely weak points to the mini doll. For example, the fact that they can't articulate in the same way that a minifigure can, and the fact that there's really only one body type that is on display with these characters. They're all incredibly thin and skinny. There are no larger body types for people who want to have different characters that have different kinds of bodies. But the fact that they are just that little bit more realistic, just that little bit closer to a human figure, a little bit less abstract than a minifigure, means that the mini dolls are perfect for this kind of more realistic, grounded roleplay. Of these sets, it's probably going to come as no surprise when I say that if you're looking for something which is larger, more detailed, has more pieces to it, then the garden restaurant is the logical choice. This thing is absolutely as beautiful as it looks in pictures, if not more so. Just a wonderful build for somebody who is a little bit older or wants something a little bit more challenging and satisfying to put together. Beyond that though, one that I would recommend here, which you might overlook otherwise, is this adorable little axolotl boat. That was a really big hit with all of us, no matter our ages, who were building these sets together, because for one thing, it is just this cute little package with this adorable little boat. It's got two of the little axolotl pieces, which are just wonderful to have, and a little crop of scenery here. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit, which is so well done with so much detail in such a small package. The fact that this is a $10 or £9 set, as opposed to some of the others which are at a similar price point, is just baffling to me, because this one is so cool and has so much cool little detail in here. That's not to say that the other ones are particularly bad, it's just that this is a really strong set, especially given just how tiny it is. Otherwise, there's nothing here that I really think hits the gold standard of LEGO Friends, which is the Botanical Garden set from a few years ago. That's the one that my daughter in particular was desperate to get her hands on, and I don't think that there's anything here that quite matches up to that. Even last year, we got the Plant Cafe, which was something vaguely similar, which was botanical and also LEGO Friends at the same time. There's nothing here in the initial January wave for Friends that really matches that kind of thing. There's a bunch of other things here. The horse riding sets came towards the end of our building experience, and because my daughter had had a big horse riding phase when she was a bit younger, we'd already built the equivalents from those from like 2017, 2018, something like that, and so we'd already built those sets. This time around, those ones got a little bit less attention simply because we'd already done that. Ditto, I feel like the Friends Clubhouse, despite being one of the more visually impressive of these sets in terms of its size, is the same kind of idea that we've seen recycled again and again with LEGO Friends. So if you've not got one of these already, that would be a brilliant one to add to your collection. But if you do have one of these already, I don't necessarily think that there's enough here to justify it as an alternative to anything that already exists. Certainly it's not as strong as the Community Centre from a few years ago, which I think is just one of, again, the peak pinnacle LEGO Friends sets, one of the best that we've had of all time. Genuinely though, I would recommend any of these LEGO sets to anyone who's interested in them. I think that they do deliver what they appear to on the box. I'm aware that the experience that we had of having all of this wave turn up at the same time, courtesy of the LEGO group, is unusual. I wouldn't necessarily say that you should go out and buy all of them in one go and then build them all in one go, because you're not necessarily going to appreciate all of them, but feel free to dip in and out and pick up the ones that look interesting to you. As you've hopefully seen these on the turntable, you've been able to see, oh, that one looks like it's for me, that one's maybe not necessarily my kind of thing, etc. But what I will also say is that if you have the kind of younger LEGO fan in your house who loves playing with LEGO Star Wars or Ninjago or Dreams or anything that's kind of traditionally coded a little bit more masculine, and the kind of person who might look at the Friends sets and think, oh, I'm not sure that they're for me, I'm not very interested in them, maybe just give them a try with one of these sets. I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to work for everybody. I'm just saying that I have a very traditionally boyish boy who has just genuinely not shown much interest in these sets before, who absolutely adores them. And when we were in the process of starting to box some of these up and deciding whether or not they were going to stay out, because you can't have all of these LEGO sets on display constantly, he was very adamant, no, you can't take my bunny hotel. That's really, really important. That's my favourite one. Don't move that one. And the dog bakery as well. Don't take that one. Those two are mine and I want to keep them. And I think that that is wonderful, because I love that he's playing these games with these sets that he wouldn't otherwise play. I guess it's that old adage of if all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail, and if all you have is Lego Star Wars sets, then every play opportunity is the same fight of clones versus droids. Whereas if you have some of these sets which have got a little bit more of that grounded reality to them, then suddenly it opens up a variety of different play opportunities for younger Lego fans. I will also say it is important to point out that he is currently back playing with all of the Star Wars stuff. He got a lot of Lego Star Wars stuff for Christmas, but even before that he was like, yes, I love these, let's get back into playing with the clone troopers. And at different times, parts of the terrain from the Lego Friends sets, a lot of the foliage in particular, kind of imported into some of his battle scenes. And he and his sister actually worked for quite a while on setting up this adorable scene on a 32x32 base plate where they were making the Battle of Kashyyyk, and so they were borrowing palm trees, or they were borrowing part of that axolotl additional foliage and background and things, and popping that into their scene to set up. And it was this violent scene of all of the clone troopers shot and killed and the battle droids broken up into pieces. No Jedi in that, so thankfully, I mean, it could have been slightly worse, but it was definitely not the same kind of wholesome experience that they were having playing with the Lego Friends. But also it was just nice to see them play together, and if they're willing to play together and meet each other on those terms, then I'm perfectly happy to see that, even if it is a slightly more violent scene that they're setting up. Basically, I want to summarize the point of this video. The learning experience that we had with these Lego sets is that anyone can enjoy them, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of background. There is something for everyone in these Friends sets. And I know that they are not necessarily for everyone. I know that you watching this might think to yourself, oh, they're not really my kind of thing, but just consider them. Just have a look at, for example, that garden restaurant, which is absolutely beautiful, and consider whether or not it might fit into your Lego cityscape. Or have a look at something that's relatively small, like the beach house, for example, and think about how that might integrate with some of your other sets, because I think that you might find more in here than you necessarily think. And if you are the kind of person who really only collects spaceships and lasers and all of that kind of stuff, well, maybe you might find something here that will start you in a whole new avenue of Lego collecting. And maybe you won't thank me for that when you suddenly realise how much that's draining your wallet. But anyway, what are your thoughts on these Lego Friends sets? Are there any that you're going to be picking up? Let us know in the comments down below. And do all of the rest of the YouTube things while you are there. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. If you're going to be making any Lego.com purchases in the near future, there is an affiliate link in the description and a QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the Lego website, and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things Lego, and you can sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.